In tonight's news, number of civil service vacancies left unfilled keeps rising, but government says there's no cause for concern. A man buying instant noodles online loses over $400,000 in an online dog meat scam. And a dad reacts with joy as his son gains a primary one discretionary place.
There has been an increase in the number of civil service jobs left vacant. The number of positions that were not filled rose by 14,000 from the 2020-21 financial year to 18,000 in the last financial year. Of the 192,000 civil service positions in 2022-23, about 174,000 were taken up. In the same year, 10,100 civil servants, or 5.7% of the workforce, left. Over half of that number retired, while others resigned, completed their contract, or died. The Civil Service Bureau told a Legislative Council meeting today that resignations have been rising since 2016-17.
There has been an increasing number of people who have resigned, but it has subsided somewhat and it has not caused any impact on the operation of the government.
Labor sector lawmaker Chow Siu-chung said the workload and pressure of civil servants have grown because of the lack of manpower, and they often have to work overtime. He urged Young to simplify work procedures so civil servants can leave work on time, and to set a time frame on employing a sufficient number of workers. In response, Yuan said government departments have been requested to speed up employment procedures. Taking her bureau as an example, it will take 3 months to recruit a worker instead of 10 months. Yuan disclosed that 535 non-civil service contract staff who ignored or refused to sign a declaration of allegiance to the government have left their job. Maisie Mock, Cable News.
Police have disclosed that a man lost $400,000 in an online scam when he tried to buy instant noodles. This came a day after the authorities launched an investigation into the sale of suspected dog meat. Police confirmed there have been no such sales. But officers believe 2 online retailers offered so-called fragrant meat as a gimmick to attract customers. Those interested in ordering were asked to install a mobile app through a link or downloading a file. They then had to grant the app access to their smartphone. After doing this, fake bank login pages appeared on their app to pay for delivery. The victims were lured into inputting their login information and personal identification number. Having gained access to the smartphone, the online sellers were able to empty customers' bank accounts. As the app was only available on Android phones, those with Apple phones had to obtain a QR code to pay a deposit of $30 before they could buy the meat. But those who did so were unable to reach the scammer. The QR code given by the vendor was found to belong to the Hong Kong Homeless Dog Shelter, a non-governmental organization that rescues strays. Its founder, Angela Chan, clarified that its code was used fraudulently. She described the scammer's action as despicable, adding a report has already been made to police. The police investigation showed that a cross-border syndicate has been scamming people by offering various services and products online since September. 11 people have filed a police report, 9 of whom have lost over $1.4 million in scams. The victims included a 60-year-old man who tried to buy instant noodles but ended up losing $415,000 because the scammers got hold of his bank account. Janice Low, Cable News.
Today was perhaps one of the most anxious days for parents as they waited to find out if their children were offered Primary 1 discretionary places in government and aided schools for the next academic year. At the stroke of 9 this morning, LaSalle Primary School in Kowloon City opened its doors to parents lining up to check if their sons made the admission list. This father jumped for joy. He said people without children wouldn't understand. He added that he will have less stress in the next 12 years once his son starts school. The number of applicants for discretionary slots fell to a 14-year low of 42,277. This was about 1,400 fewer from a year ago. Hong Kong's declining birth rates and emigration have reduced the city's primary school population. About 21,086 students, roughly half of this year's applicants, were successful. The 49.9% success rate was the highest in 16 years. This woman does not think that competition for top schools has become less intense. I saw my son's name at the bottom of the list. I almost thought he didn't succeed, she said. Over 11,000 children accepted by the school of their choice have siblings studying in the same institution or their parents work there. Parents of children who have been accepted have to register at the school on Wednesday and Thursday. The children who missed out on discretionary places will be given slots under the Central Allocation Admission Scheme. Maisie Mock, Cable News. Israel has continued to bombard Gaza amid warnings that it will expand its military operation as it tries to crush Hamas. Palestinian officials said at least 12 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on a hospital. Since the Gaza offensive began 6 weeks ago in response to a deadly Hamas attack, at least 13,000 Palestinians have been killed, more than 5,000 of them children. The Israelis earlier released footage, which it says shows a Hamas tunnel network under the Al-Shifa hospital. But Hamas official Osama Hamdan denied claims that his group had its command center under the hospital.
China has vowed to do its best to end the fighting in Gaza as soon as possible and ease the humanitarian catastrophe there. The pledge came as Foreign Minister Wang Yi met a delegation from Arab and Muslim countries. The group traveled to Beijing on the first leg of a mission to press for a ceasefire in Gaza and more aid to displaced Palestinian civilians. Wang told the delegates that China supports the Palestinians in the struggle for their national rights and interests.
Mainland developers rose today after Beijing signaled that it will help them with financing. China Resources Land gained 3.3% and Longfor climbed 1.9%. Sunac jumped as much as 12% before closing 6% higher after its offshore debt restructuring became effective. Tech stocks were again in favor, with the sector rising 2.5%. Tencent was up 3.6%.